back. What you end up seeing a lot of times in a trial, a dog goes 2x out and 1x back. That will kill you on points. Why? Prey drive has been fulfilled. So even with the starting of this right now, even with Joelle's young dog, I want her to sprint back to what? Engage. So you coming back to me is great versus you coming back to me ouse.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You guys understand that, right? So now let's talk about corrections. This is the very first correction I give my dog. Well, I might give him something like for attacking another dog or wanting to later on. But on the young dog, my very first correction where I'm cognitively aware I'm going to do it, I teach name recognition. I'm convinced 99% of the dogs in the United States don't know their name. They don't even know their name. And they have what I call the threatening repeating parent. You know, Slayer, 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 Slayer. The dog, what I said, delayed obedience is disobedience. So now let's say I say his name 5 times and Slayer comes on the 5th time. I'm kind of screwed. I taught delayed obedience, right? So now I'm in a pickle. Do I reward you? Because I rewarded delayed obedience. So there's 4 levels of corrections, and it starts with the name. So I let my dog get a good sniff. You know, we're going on a walk. Say it's a 7-month-old puppy. It's sniffing. I have my long line on, maybe my 20-footer, sniffing. I have food on me, always with a young dog or a toy. But if I'm going to have to correct, I use food. And I go, Slayer, if his head doesn't turn within 1,000th of a second, I give him a pop. Pop. He comes back to me, I use my bridge, good, and then I click. So when I say your name, your head's got to be whooping around. So when I start my foos, because my very first thing that I do, first correction is what? Name. Steps 5 through 8, what have they learned? Look. Remember, so step 5, look, good. Nope, good, click. So now they know 2 things before I even start my foos. They know the word look and they know their name. That's very important. Because once I say the word foos, they don't want to look at me. Now, why doesn't a dog want to look at me at foos? In fact, I should do this one time. I should blindfold one of you, grab you by the hand, and take you for a walk. Do you know how hard that would be for me to take you by the wrist, short, and take you for a walk through this? Is this guy going to walk me into the table? Now I'm asking my dog to completely have trust on a foos. You look and you have no clue where you're going. You talk about a trust exercise. Foos is trust. So it's the most unnatural thing because there's 5 things that come into fruition in one exercise. A dog can't be wide, touching, forged, lagging, and must be looking at me. 5 things. That is very difficult. I'm glad they moved the foos into the 15-point range. I worked too hard on my foos. So when I say the word foos, they don't know what foos means, and I'll go over the steps later on how I teach foos with both hands behind. So when I say foos, they don't know this word. But I'm walking like this in an open field. Foos. Now I say step 5, look. Slayer. His head comes up, click and pay. So I have 2 things now that I can start my foos with. Step 5 through 8, look. Name. This one is all positive. Name is my first negative. Slayer. Where do I use my dog's name in a trial? Around the blind. A revere. Slayer. When I say your name, that head better be whooping around. It better not be like my middle name is James. So Joel James. I can't imagine when I was growing up my dad saying Joel James and be like, in a minute, I'm watching TV. I would have been dead. Like, goodbye, Earth. Because I knew my father and I knew name recognition. When my name is being called, Joel James, the minute it was serious. So I have several ways that I call my dog's name. Slayer. Happy. Slayer. If I say it like that, Joel James. Slayer. My very first throw on a dumbbell. So this is one thing that I want with Joelle to do on a leash. So when she was playing ball, guess what my brain's already thinking about? 40 points on dumbbell. I'm already thinking about that. So she got the Kong. You guys see what she did? She kind of looked around a little bit. Okay, I'll come back. You guys see that big arc? Mm-hmm. So that's where when you throw the ball, and I'm not against throwing the ball, you guys, with a string. But right when so my very first dumbbell throw, we won't have time today to talk about it, but I have like 20 steps on my dumbbell.
Of course you do.
Many. You can see my brain's like very linear. But my very first throw with the dumbbell, which is like step 20. When I throw the dumbbell, he already knows what the dumbbell is because I'm shaping it, but this is my very first throw. And I've been doing this with a ball just like Joelle, but this is the first time with the dumbbell, maybe he's 22 months old. I throw the dumbbell, and I say, okay, bring. I don't ask for a sit. I don't ask anything proper. I just want him to want to get it. Right when his nose touches it, guess what I say?
Bring.
Slay. Well, no. I say
first.
bring when I throw it. So I say bring, and right when his nose touches it, slay.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
he has to turn and look at me. So I can use their name for many exercises. In fact, what else can I use it for? I can use look or their name in a harsh way. So I don't use a positive word with a correction. What do I mean by this? One of my mentors that won the world championship twice, a guy named Rolf Weisenberger, brilliant trainer, brilliant. We were out tracking, and this has been years ago, so obviously it stuck with me. And my dog was off the track, and I went, Sook. He goes, Joel. He started yelling at me. I said, what? He said, is Sook a good word or a bad word? I said, it's a good word. How come your dog isn't off the track? And you go, no. I should not have corrected on the word Sook. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if my dog is looking away on foos, I shouldn't do what? Foos.
Oh.
Foos. That's a good word. My dog looks away? No. So what are my negative words? So you want to correct on a negative word. What are my negative words?
No.
No. Another one is quiet.
I use wrong.
Wrong, yeah, whichever, it could be whatever word. So mine are no, quiet, and another negative word is how I say your name. So if I say your name a certain way, Slayer, that's a no. Slayer, that's a good. So I can play with their name. Also, Joel James becomes negative depending on how my father says it. I correct on these words. What would quiet mean? Quiet means be still. So sometimes you'll see if like a Slayer comes, if I do a dumbbell today and you see him do this, quiet. Quiet means hold yourself very still. So if my dog's on a long down and you see him kind of like fiddling around, taking a hip, messing around a little bit, you'll hear me say quiet, and one person said he wasn't barking. Quiet has nothing to do with barking. It does, but it means be still. And I'll correct them. These words here, you guys can remember this, put this in your memories. I won't write it down, put it in your memories. Never give a negative command unless you're able and willing to carry it out. Don't even say it. Yes?
Do you think there's a bridge you could put in there too?
Yes, you can use a negative bridge. Which means you do that again, I will correct you. You can use
use it?
A negative bridge. Do I?
Yeah.
I'm too old to learn the new trick. I should. I tell other people to, but I find myself not. So I can't lie. I would be a better trainer if I did.
It clicked in my mind because when we were running tracks today, the dog wanted to turn and come back.
Yeah.
And it was,
No, I do like a negative bridge, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which means the negative's coming. It's not a no reward marker. It's a negative is coming if you do that again.
To give the dog
It's kind of like a warning shot. Yes, in fact, I really like that. I don't incorporate that enough like I should, but I do like that. But never give a negative command unless you're able and willing to carry it out, or don't say it. Then they learn, Slayer, oh, he's wise to the leash. He's wise to the e-collar. He's wise to the prong collar. I like what Marcus Master says. He says, dogs see pictures. You'd say their name 1,000 times with the leash on. The 1,001st time when there's no leash, that head's turning. I guarantee it. He has seen this picture only for 1,000 times. But you can't. This is another example. This is a very, very sick example. This lady Feather that I trained with, she was great at research. I missed her as far as she read books and books and books and books. So every Saturday, Delano, I'd be like, hey, what new study did you read about? I'm too lazy to read all the studies, so she was like my library. Hey, there's this. Anyway, there was this study, and this is a sick study, so don't get mad at the messenger. They had 3 dogs in 3 different rooms with the e-collars on. Dog A, every time the red light went off, they hit it on the E. Dog B, I think it was every hour on the hour they hit it on the E. Dog C was intermittent. No rhyme or reason. Dog A, they said, she was telling me, was a happy dog. like in the room, happy, and then the red light went off. It got very tense. He got hit on the E, then it was happy again. Like, I don't know what the red light is. It's negative though. Dog B learned to tell time. It was happy for 55 minutes, I guess, and then 5 minutes before the hour, it got stressed, hit on the E, and then it was happy again for like 55 minutes. Dog C died from ulcers within 6 months.
That random
It was,
helplessness
it,
thing.
yep, it was no rhyme or reason. The sick thing about that study is, guess what a lot of us are? Dog C. Because sometimes we correct, sometimes we don't. So you have these intermittent corrections. You have to, the really good trainers, the parameters are very clear. This is always a no. This is always a yes. If your dog doesn't know it, don't say no. If it knows this behavior, honey, don't touch the outlet. My dog, now I can correct once you understand the behavior. But I can't correct if you don't know the behavior, or that's just ludicrous, right? I mean, that's like sticking me in China and them just start slapping me. I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying. It hurts though. But now, if I'm disobeying the order from the officer, you know, maybe I deserve to get hit. So with my dog, I don't ever want to give a negative command unless I'm able and willing to carry it out, or I become dog C. You know, if you want to write that down, or I
I
become
miss
dog
dog
C.
C.
Can you explain it? She missed it. She hasn't been on
Sorry.
the phone. So
Window,
Um,
control room.
you said the sixth study. So
Yeah.
can you repeat that sixth study again? please?
Yeah, the study.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. The study, they had e-collars on dogs. There were 3